20 years ago, there was no freedom. No freedom of speech, no freedom of movement, no freedom of enterprise. Everything was locked down, so no incentive, no dreams to dream, and everyone had given up.
The reason for my family leaving was because my family was sort of not against the system. They weren't really politically involved, but my uncle was part of the 1968 demonstrations, and he ended up immigrating to Canada. So the family was a bit persecuted through that. You know, the communist regime always looked down on people who, you know, had members of family who've immigrated and were living out west. You know, they couldn't shop for items that they were looking for. There was virtually no luxury items. There was no opportunity to travel. The only languages you heard on the street was Russian and Czech. And so we left.
And we didn't wait for it in Canada. We didn't expect it. That wasn't something we had planned. We never planned to come back here. And then all of a sudden, the revolution took place. The Russians, thanks to Gorbachev, didn't come in. And freedom returned to Czechoslovakia, now Czech Republic and Slovak Republic. And it was so emotional to think that actually there was freedom back in the country where we were born, that we had to come back and see it.
And coming back to Prague, I looked around and I realized, well, this is not a summer stint for me. I can learn something here, something that I will never learn in Canada, and, you know, soak up the culture and new experiences. That in the same way that my Czech culture has allowed me to be unique in Canada, I can take these experiences back to Canada after and be that much better.
Frank Kuznick, and I am editor-in-chief, general manager, and culture editor of the Prague Post. Ambivalent would be the short answer to your question. I think that there's a lot of people, younger especially, who think it's the greatest thing that happened here in their lifetimes and appreciate all the opportunities that it's brought to them. So in terms of commerce and that kind of thing and investment in this country, that's been great. That's been going great guns. There's another whole set of people, maybe even larger, but older people particularly, who think life was better under communism, don't like the changes that have come with the last 20 years.
Canada has really taught me what it is to be an individualist, I think. And I think this is something that, you know, the Czech people are still adjusting to, especially the older generation.
There's still a strong feeling that life was better under communism. Now, when you say to them, why was life better under communism? Well, number one, you didn't have to think too much for yourself. The state completely took care of you. The state told you what you were going to do, and you went and did it. Everybody basically made the same amount of money. I mean, it was cradle to grave. You were in the state's care, so there was absolute security. Now, what do? We're like 7 or 8% unemployment in this country. There was nothing like that under communism. Everybody had a job, guaranteed for life. Now, if you didn't show up for your job, you went to jail, but never mind. There was complete security.
It's sort of cutthroat capitalism. I think there's a lot of resentment. I think a lot of people have resigned to the fact that they will not have the opportunity to be at the top.
Another thing people here say to me is, we called it communism then and we call it capitalism now, but all the same people are in charge.
I think there's a lot of people from higher structures of industry and government that were involved with the communists, and they sort of had the head start. They've had money and they had contacts.
Nobody really left. It's all the same people, and they're still all stealing and making themselves rich.
The people who were doing well before are still doing even better now. And there wasn't an exchange of, you know, the people who were oppressed are on top now, and there wasn't that sort of a switch.
Is the change completed? No, it's not. Corruption is still here. Growth is still here. Potential is still here. Some form of communism is still here, 10 to 12%. And so there's still need for a change.
But I think it's the young people that, again, are the new generations coming up who, again, want new changes, who don't want to see corruption in government. You know what, from my judgment, another 20 years, at least.